Nottingham Forest 1, Manchester City 0. Are Manchester City in danger of not getting Champions League football this season? And can Nuno Espirito Santo's men become the unthinkable and get Nottingham Forest Champions League football? What a season Nottingham Forest are having. Quite remarkable. They are in the quarterfinals on the FA Cup. They've beaten Manchester City today, and they have put themselves in a strong position to get Champions League football. They now go 4 points clear of Manchester City. Right now, as it stands, fifth spot is going to be a correlation spot. And as you look for Manchester City, they're only 1 point above Brighton. And it's all to play for. If Chelsea win, they can go above them, and that applies more pressure on Manchester City because, look, obviously, Arsenal, Liverpool, I personally believe those two positions are on lock. The next three, you could argue from third all the way down to maybe 9th or 10th are in the race for the Champions League. And it's all up for grabs. Nottingham Forest have gone to the City today and beaten Manchester City in a game where Man City had to win. And let's have a look at the stats here. Man City really threatened Nottingham Forest today. I would argue Nottingham Forest had the better chances, barring the goal. And speaking on the goal, Ederson should be doing better. People are making excuses for him. He overdives for the ball. A goalkeeper should not be getting beat at the near post like that. Yes, it does take a slight deflection on Garvaldo, which sometimes can be difficult. However, at your near post like that, me personally should be doing better. Don't be using excuses. Oh, the sun was in his eyes. Shut up about making excuses. I mean, look, it's imagine if Man City don't get top four. Genuinely, what their targets now is the top four or top five, sorry, and the FA Cup. And the FA Cup is up for grabs. They're going to be facing a good quality Bournemouth side who probably would have thought at the end of the start of the season where, yo, might have a chance at the FA Cup if the big teams do go out. And if you look at it based off this season, Manchester City are beatable. Man City went like one win in 14. So Man City could easily lose against Bournemouth in the FA Cup. And Nottingham Forest, the same with them. They could end up winning the FA Cup this season. I think there's like 3-4 teams who are all on the same level of a good chance of winning it. And I do feel sorry for some Manchester City players, like the newcomers, like the Gonzalez, the Kuzanovs, who actually look decent when they've come in. But you can't be using. It's been long gone since the Rodri excuse. He went down in September, early October. Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of our lifetime. He should be able to think and adapt to those issues, like Jurgen Klopp did when we had the massive injuries at centre back and in the midfield. And that's crisis. It's probably worse than what Manchester City are in terms of injury crisis. I know they've had other injuries. Like I know John Stones, Akanji's now out, Ake's out till July, Rodri, Oscar Bob. And these are all good starters for Manchester City. It doesn't help when players like Bernardo Silva, his legs have just fallen off. Foden just isn't the same. Doku, yeah, he's fucking quick, but guy can't hit a goal for anything. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he might be able to beat his wingers. He might look fancy on the eye, but if you're not putting the ball on the back of net or creating proper chances, does it really matter? No. I feel sorry for players like Savinho. I think Savinho is an absolute baller, by the way, and I think he's in the next few years he's going to improve and he's going to get better and better. Haaland, he's had a couple of injury problems. He's not had the surface as much, you can meet. But to be fair to him, he has still bagged this season. Diaz, I think Diaz has been decent this season. Obviously, he's had a couple of injury problems. Gvardiol, I think he has been suspect all season. He started the season off well, where he was getting a couple of goals and assists. He was looking decent. Then he's now just fallen off a cliff. Matthias Nunes is basically playing in every single position. One minute he's playing left mid in midfield, then he's playing at right back. So there is so many issues at Manchester City. Rico Lewis, I think, is so overrated. Mateo Kovacic just isn't to that standard anymore, in my opinion. De Bruyne, he's obviously had his injury problems. It doesn't help, but to be fair to De Bruyne, I actually don't think he's been as bad as people make out, in my opinion. Yes, don't get me wrong, he has been dreadful in some games, but in certain games he's still shown his quality. Marmoush has looked good. So yeah, I don't think you can really diss Marmoush this season. But Manchester City are in real danger of not getting Champions League football. Chelsea, they're hit and miss. I think what will help Man City is that the teams they're up against are kind of hit and miss. Aston Villa, if they get past Club Brugge in the second leg, are they going to just pour their eggs in the Champions League basket while still getting European football? Brighton have a strong chance. Do you know what I mean? Bournemouth have a chance. Fulham as well. Mm. And then obviously Nottingham Forest, who have been in the top form near enough basically the whole season. At one point, people were thinking Nottingham Forest could potentially be in a title race. And they've bounced back with a massive win against Manchester City. Like, they went on a little bit of a run of not picking up points. They lost 2-1 to Fulham. They lost to Newcastle, which was very unlucky. And I think there was like 4-1 down in that game. Then 0-0 against Arsenal. They've come back and beat Man City. Look at Man City in their past 5 games. Battered at Arsenal. Yeah, they beat a mixed Newcastle where you don't know what you're going to get. Obviously lost to Liverpool, beat Tottenham by 1-0, and then obviously lost to Nottingham Forest. Let's have a look at Man City's features real quick in terms of like what's the difficulty. Like Brighton, if they lose to Brighton, which very much could happen, or drop points. Obviously Bournemouth in the cup, Leicester they'll be against Manchester Derby, Palace are in form, Everton I've not lost since Moyes has come in. Aston Villa, they're up there for Champions League football next season. Obviously, Wolves are fighting for survival. Southampton, yep. Bournemouth are in that conversation. Fulham. And then after that, obviously, it's the Club World Cup. So a lot of Manchester City's fixtures are teams that are fighting for the Champions League football, so it could go either way. Let's have a look at Nottingham Forest's. Ipswich, they'll beat. Brighton is obviously the FA Cup. I think they'll beat Man U. Obviously, Villa is a rival in that competition. Everton, they'll beat Spurs. Brentford, Palace, Leicester, West Ham. So I think Forest have more favourable fixtures, to be honest with you. And they've got that 4-point lead. And to be honest, they actually look well drilled and balanced all over the pitch, unlike Manchester City. Nottingham Forest can defend, they actually can score goals, and they're more balanced in the midfield than Manchester City this whole season. And you can tell the City ground is starting to feel it now that this side could potentially get Champions League football. And yeah, look, I just think for me, some of the teams that Man City are up against can go on like a win one and then drop 2 points and then another couple of more points, like your Newcastles who can do that. And Villa, it depends on keeping players fit for them and how far they can go in the Champions League. I don't suspect Fulham to probably really catch them, but Bournemouth, they're in contention for 5th and they're only 3 points off. So if Chelsea can win their next game, which is Leicester, and that puts them above Manchester City, which you would expect them to do. So could Man City really get Europa League next season? I would love it, and I think we would all deserve it. And imagine if they don't win the FA Cup. I mean, I think the interesting thing as a team that's been in title races with Manchester City is what are they going to do in the summer window? I think a lot of their players are going to go. They're not good enough. I think their January signings will come good in Kuzanov, Gonzalez, Marmoush especially, proper talent. And then in the summer, they are linked with the likes of Wirtz, who's going to be that long-term, like, De Bruyne replacement, which I think they heavily are missing. And I think they'll go and buy, like, a couple of more defenders because Ake, Akanji, Stones. They're just too injury prone. They're just too injury prone. 1 week they're playing, next minute they're in hospital for 3 months. So effectively, Manchester City, I think it's going to be really interesting what they do in their summer business. So, yeah, and another question. Is Nuno de Espirito Santo manager of the season? He's up there with Slot. I think they are the top two managers to who will get that title. I mean, if Forest get it and win an FA Cup, there's certainly an argument with Nuno de Espirito Santo, and the same with Arne Slot at Liverpool. So this top four race is going to be really interesting. The relegation race for me is just dead. It's gone 6 points. I mean, look, Wolves, they'll do enough. Southampton obviously gone, and then Leicester. It's just nah. And then you look at the gap from West Ham. They only really can drag Wolves in it. So yeah, relegation's not looking good. So it's kind of really the race for Europe from third to 10th is going to be really interesting. Who gets the conference, the Europa Leagues, the Champions Leagues, and then the title race. How long is that really going to go on for? As a Liverpool fan, I'm just taking it game by game. That's my mentality. I think Liverpool will get over the line, but just take it game by game and just allow no complacency. That's just the mentality I've got for that. So yeah, top four race. Is it going to go down to the wire? Will Manchester City get top four? Can Nottingham Forest do the unthinkable and get Champions League football? I mean, we're certainly going to find out with 9-10 games to go. So yeah, make sure you smash the like, subscribe, road to 700 subs. Thanks so much for watching, and follow for more Liverpool style content and football content overall. Take care.